Legends. Long have legends inspired people the world over. For in legends, we see the worlds of the impossible unfold before us.
Heroic quests, horrific monsters, gods, magic, tales of the valiant and the villainous. But more than that, in legend, we see ourselves reflected in the stories we tell.
I'm William Stark.
And I'm Omar Timsaw.
And we are D&D Legends and Lore. Join us as we explore the fantastic lore of the world's most popular tabletop RPG.
You can find D&D Legends and Lore on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, or anywhere podcasts can be found.
Hi, I'm Laura Cathcart-Robbins, and I am the host and creator of the podcast, Only One in the Room. Every week, my co-host Scott Slaughter and I invite you to join us and lose yourself in someone's Only One story. The Only One in the Room has a wide variety of guests, from prisoners to abuse survivors to swingers. With 21 seasons and counting, we guarantee that Only One in the Room will have a story that you'll connect with. This podcast is for anyone who has ever felt alone in a room full of people, which is to say that this podcast is for everyone.
Hello, Duck Hunt, and welcome to the IGN UK podcast. My name is Chris Tilley, and this week I'm joined by Gav.
Hello.
And Rory.
Duck Hunt. Why are you making that face when you say our name?
Just unsure.
Gav.
Unsure.
Rory.
And we are here to entertain you with an interview with Jurassic World director Colin Trevorrow.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, we're going to talk about Fallout 4.
Yeah.
What's happened in the Fallout world this week, guys?
Well, they revealed the new trailer, so there was this giant sort of countdown thing going on Bethesda's site, and it went live a little bit early. It was meant to go live at 3 o'clock on Wednesday.
Yeah,
and
we managed to get onto the site and have some screenshots and things like that. Just confirming that it was Fallout 4. A couple people were worried
I guess it could have been everything,
like a collector's edition, of all the past games. So we managed to get that out a little bit before the announcement, but then obviously as soon as they saw this, they locked everything down.
They did spoil. I guess someone pressed the on switch before they were meant to, I suppose, which happens quite a lot. It just literally just happened with the Uncharted collection as well, which is meant to be announced today apparently, but someone put that live.
I guess
on the
if you
store.
have so many things going out at one time, it must be hard. It must be easy for one to just slip through. Because maybe that's on PlayStation that it went live on the store, not actually on. The game developers or whoever.
It should just be one person who's quite responsible given the button.
Yeah.
Rather than
I think you need we have two keys and you turn them and then that opens the switch and you just press it. Exactly. Yeah, that would be amazing.
But they put it up a bit early, so basically there was this giant screenshot which was really, really cool. It showed sort of the power armor, showed the dog as well, so the dog's going to be a really big part of it. So in a couple of the Fallout games you have a little companion by the side of you, which would be really, really good.
That sounds mean, but that's his name.
That's his name,
I'm not just being...
Luke seemed confused about the dog yesterday.
He did,
I don't think Luke plays games, that's why. He goes, at one point, I think, what was the stupidest thing he said? So not just the dog thing, but he said, so we managed to uncover the power armor, which is such a massive thing in Fallout. Yeah. And he was like, what is this? Is this an android or a robot or something?
He's writing the story. It's is that a robot, guys?
Maybe he just doesn't play Fallout.
Yeah.
So this is big news.
It is really big news. Yeah.
Very exciting.
The internet went nuts.
Yes. Yeah.
Are you guys excited?
Really excited. Fallout 3 is one of my favourite games. I wasn't a massive fan of New Vegas because it was just really, really buggy.
Yeah, I think that's the general consensus.
But Fallout 3 is really good. It draws on, amazing stuff. If you feel really into post-apocalyptic world, there's nothing better really. And it does a really, really good cast as well. Liam Neeson's in Fallout 3, does really, really well. Really good. He voices your dad in Fallout 3.
That'd be nice. Soothing Liam Neeson.
Yeah, although he's not in for very long. But
okay.
It's great
Spoiler
game.
alert.
But they're giant games as well.
Yeah.
And I think we've just been waiting for something properly next gen that's this big, except for The Witcher, which has just come out, which I'm not a massive fan of because I don't like fantasy and stuff like that. Whereas this is set.
Do you not like Skyrim?
No, not really. I'm not a massive fan of fantasy games like that. I'd rather it be set in, I'm about to say set in the real world, but obviously this isn't set.
Well, I agree with you. I think the setting for these kind of games, I find them way more fascinating. This whole kind of post-apocalyptic, but also kind of 1950s feel and style to the game. I think that stuff is really cool. Yeah. As I love it with some of the films that we'll go on to mention.
Yeah.
Spoil it then. just gonna say.
Should we just skip to feedback?
I'm just gonna say.
I think we're done. Actually,
it makes me think of a question, guys.
Oh really? Yeah.
Okay.
All
right.
What movies do people need to watch before playing Fallout 4?
That's a really good question.
Question mark.
Yeah. What an excellent question.
Did you just think of that?
Just before you said what you said.
Well, it obviously, like as I said, it draws on stuff like, I mean, The Road came out in 2009, Fallout 3 came out in 2008. But the book was obviously out way before that, and like Fallout have always had that kind of feeling to it. But if you watch The Road and play Fallout 3, like there's so many similarities in the way that the worlds are set. When you see those like giant sort of vistas in The Road where the road just goes nowhere and they have to go different ways, that is straight up out of Fallout.
Yeah,
and I think so. Since then, there's been quite a lot. I mean, obviously, like Fury Road is getting like so many new people sort of into Mad Max and that genre as well. So a lot of people have said maybe there'll be sort of, there hasn't been before, but maybe there'll be sort of like cars that you can actually drive. But there is a Mad Max game coming out as well, so I guess they probably don't want to stay away from that.
Those two both have cannibals in them.
Yes, that's right.
Is this a cannibal universe we're talking about?
Yeah. There's a lot of eating people. There's a lot of sort of like monsters and like
mutated from the nuclear kind of fallout.
Sort of zombies as well. But then there's also some of those people there's not just like crazed lunatics who are eating people. There's quite a lot of sort of just subcultures and like communities going on, people underground, and sometimes you actually get a lot out of the zombies and they talk and things like that, which is really, really good. So they're just sort of like monsters and that. But one of the things that I've put down here is The Rover. That was one of my favourite films last year, and I think what Fallout does really well is you come in the middle of stories all the time, so you happen across these people who are doing something and then you end up getting involved in it. And I think The Rover was so dark, and I think if it can draw on that kind of sort of like really weird things you're happening across and you're never quite sure what's going on, and not be as obvious, because Fallout 3, all the stories are kind of obvious and they're a little bit sort of like heavy-handed, whereas The Rover, it was always really ambiguous, like what the hell was going on.
Yeah,
I think.
and in The Rover, you did show up in the middle of Guy Pearce's story.
Yeah.
And you only find out what that story is at the end of the movie.
Exactly,
but at the start, you're just you're literally clashing with him.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one?
I haven't, no.
It's a really
it's
good movie.
Dark, it's grim, it's miserable. I didn't like it as much as you.
Didn't you? Yeah. Didn't you like it?
I thought I was going to love it.
I
came out like, there's some good scenes in it.
Really good
Robert
scenes
Pattinson's really good.
He's amazing.
He's in it?
Yeah.
He's in The Rover?
He's
It's
really
one of those
fantastic.
things where
When
you're like,
was this made?
actually, it came out, it was made a couple of years ago.
Oh, okay, so quite recently.
Yeah.
I guess that's like one of the differences that you'd have between these kind of movies and these sort of games is that a lot of these movies where it's like a post-apocalyptic world, they'll kind of emphasize the solitude and the loneliness. You can't really do that with games because you need to have a world, you need to have
some kind of interaction.
Exactly. You can't really emphasize that with them.
But then you do kind of have that in Fallout 3 sometimes. I mean, I've had it like really late at night where you happen across like a supermarket and you think, right, okay, well, I need loads of stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go in the supermarket by myself at night. And then you go in and you go, I've made the completely wrong decision. I shouldn't have done that. So that does kind of happen.
Yeah.
But then I guess you'd have your dog with you.
But it's funny, like the best scene in I Am Legend is probably, or the best scenes are the first half hour when he's on his own. Like that stuff is so amazing
really good,
to watch. And I guess 28 Days Later does a similar thing.
And Wall-E as well.
But I Am Legend, I guess, is the closest to this. And that's quite interesting to watch, and I would imagine it'd be quite interesting to experience as well.
Definitely, yeah.
Of course, there's been a few adaptations of I Am Legend.
Yeah.
There's the Vincent Price one, there's the Will Smith one, there's which united down the Omega Man with Charlton Heston.
That's greatest.
It's just have you seen the Omega Man?
I was the one that put it on the list.
Oh, right.
I snuck it in there right at the end. Yeah.
But it's before like 1999, so how have you seen it?
Are you sure you're not thinking about the Simpsons episode?
Oh, that's the one. Yeah.
The Omega Man.
Why do you like Omega Man then?
I loved it. I saw it as a kid, and it was one of the first kind of post-apocalyptic movies that I had seen before. Yeah. And it's always kind of like a cool idea as a kid if you're like in a store or something and you're like, oh, imagine if I was the only one in here, like all the things I could do. That's basically, at least at the start, what the premise is. He's in like a huge city and he like goes to the car dealership and just takes out whatever car I want. And I was like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
But then also you meet some of the people afflicted by it was a nuclear fallout, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Something like that.
I don't think they ever really explain it, to be honest. I think it's, and maybe they do in that one. It's just I've read the book and I've seen all the movie versions and everyone does it slightly different or leave it a little bit of ambiguity.
I guess it's not the most important detail.
No.
You're kind of just, as long as you know where the world is now, that's the most important one. But I loved it. I thought it was really cool. I was young when I saw it, so I kind of had like a fascination over it.
Yeah.
And I liked I Am Legend, but I don't know. I guess I prefer the
I like the
Omega
first
Man.
bit of Iron. I like the first maybe like 25 minutes.
To like a CGI fest.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And the CGI is terrible as well, isn't it? Like
it's
really
amazing.
bad.
It's such a big movie. It was hugely successful.
Was it?
But yeah, it didn't work, that CGI at all. So what are the other films that you guys were suggesting then that people should?
Well, I put Snowpiercer down as well. I did put Days of Future Past, but then I changed my mind about that. But I didn't take it off because some of that does happen in a sort of sort of apocalyptic.
It's kind of like
but
it's almost building to it, where it's like the nuclear scares and the threats and things like that in around the 1950s, 1960s. So I can see how that would tie in, but yeah, maybe not as much as that.
I've put Snowpiercer because I think that is right at the end of the world, and I just love the way that sort of portrays community at the end of the world, and how sort of people forced with having to recreate community and what they actually do with it. And Fallout does that really, really well, where they just go, okay, everything's gone to shit. How do we rebuild it? Or we rebuild it in a really, really bad way. But I think this Fallout, from what we've seen from the trailer, is going to be a little bit later on, I think, and maybe things are... Well, some people have said actually it's like really early, and you get to witness the apocalypse. But I don't think that's right. What I think is it's way, way further down the line. So we're going to come into it when maybe a bit more like the world of Borderlands, where people have started like sort of thriving and flourishing sort of thing.
Communities established.
That's what I think it's going to be. And I think it'd be really interesting to see if there's anything sort of similar to Snowpiercer and like the really horrible stuff that goes on there. But
Snowpiercer, the film that no one in the UK can legally watch.
Yeah, I know, it's weird, isn't it?
Unless you imported Blu-ray, I guess.
Yeah, it's really strange.
It never got released here.
Yeah,
but it's been quite a strange situation. It's the Weinsteins own it, and it got a lot of hype around it when it screened at festivals, and they put the price so high that no one in the UK wanted to pay that much for it. I mean, Chris Evans is in it, Tilda Swinton, there's some well-known people in it. Yeah. But equally, like, it's quite a cult niche film. Like, it's a tough sell. It's great, but it's not the most obviously marketable movie. Yeah. And then it went on Netflix in the States, and I think a lot of people in the UK watched it via that they would bank on to see it in the cinema. Yeah. And so I think fear kind of envelope them and envelope the UK distributors, and no one's picked it up, and it's kind of sad because it's really good. Yeah, really, it's a really, really good movie. I think I told you like a funny story as well. I was in a charity shop in West Norwood and saw a Spanish version of the DVD. I don't know if it's still there, but if it is, you can go and have a look at it in a charity shop in West Norwood. So if you want that, you should have bought it. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't. It can't have been that much. It was like 50p as well. I'd already see. I'm going to go back and check if it's still there, because I bet it still is, because this is only like a couple of months ago. So if you do, buy it and mark it up by £1 and I'll buy it off you. All right, sweet. I want my copy of... Was it DVD though? It was a DVD, yeah, unfortunately. Was it blue? Yeah. Any other films that you think that... I think that's about right. I think if they can sort of draw on like, you know, the community stuff and the smaller stories, I think it's going to be a huge game anyway. But I think, you know, they've got a really good, with this new next gen consoles, they've got a really good opportunity to really focus like the storyline and really focus like your character and things like that. Absolutely. And I guess one of the most exciting details about it is that they're actually looking at a 2015 release date, which is so refreshing, because so many times you'll hear information about a game and they're like coming in, you know, a year or something like that. And they said that they're going to try and have it. The aim is to have it out. Now, I don't know if they will actually get it out in time, but allegedly it'll be out by 2015. Which would be really cool. We'll see if that happens. Fingers crossed. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, exciting news in the world of Fallout. But before we get to our Trevorrow interview, let's talk about the news of the week. So, Gav, you got the first piece. Got some really good stuff that's been going on first. Now, this is my favourite thing. So, Godzilla is now a citizen of Japan. It's amazing. So, he's been named a citizen of the province of Tokyo's Shinjuku. How did he beat me to it? I don't know. He's destroyed half of it for his services. I didn't do that. Yeah, let's have a look. So for those who Godzilla citizenship certificate listing his vitals, drawing visitors from around the globe. That's why he's been named a citizen, because of his is given as a special reason for giving him citizenship. So they've actually given him a little citizen sort of little certificate as well. I just really like the fact that they've made a fictional character a citizen. Well, you can request copies of it as well. Yeah, which is pretty cool. I don't know if that means he's allowed to do all the naughty stuff that he gets up to now, and like no one can stop him, or does that mean that they can actually arrest him now? Yeah. So we're splitting this into rum stuff and bum stuff. Yeah. This is rum. This is rum. Good. Yeah. I disagree. This is bad. Why? What? Because this reminds me of when celebrities get given honorary degrees at universities. When like I spent 3 years working my arse off getting my degree, and then friggin' Kanye West can just show up because he's famous and he gets a degree. People have to work for citizenship of Japan.
But they've just given it to Godzilla. He can legally get married now.
He does not exist, as far as we know.
I'm imagining you in the audience huffing while Godzilla goes up and gets his diploma, and then waddles out into the ocean with his little graduate hat on.
Well, this is the thing that we haven't thought about is, by giving him citizenship, are Japan going, yeah, he totally exists, by the way. I know you think it's just in films, but he's actually real. So maybe it's slipped up.
They're firing a warning shot to the rest of the world. Don't mess with us.
He's real. Yeah, well, that's my bit of rum stuff anyway. Yeah. Quite short.
Actually, I don't know why this is my bit of rum stuff, but
really?
I saw it on the list and I put my name next to it.
Okay.
I guess I vaguely know the director, so I can give some context.
Okay.
But James Wan, director of Saw, of Insidious, of The Conjuring, and of Fast 7, or Fast and Furious 7 as it's called in the UK, which is, I think, the third most successful film of all time right now.
Jeez.
Yeah. It was in like 10 million of number 3. It's
very
overtaking
cool.
Avengers.
Massive. I know. How
insane.
That's cool.
It's over my head.
The first Avengers or the second one?
The first one.
First one. It's Fast and Furious 7 is better than the first Avengers. I generally think
I'd put them on literally exactly the same.
Really?
Interesting
level. That's good.
Anyway, James is getting kind of his dream. He is going to direct Aquaman.
Okay.
Which will be the DC movie after Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, I think.
Right.
Unless Wonder Woman is in there, I get confused.
Yeah.
But yeah, the character who Jason Momoa is playing, Game of Thrones fans will know him, and fans of the rubbish Conan movie.
Yeah.
He's going to show up in Batman v Superman, but then get his own standalone movie.
Right.
In which he's got to unite the Seven Seas. Mm-hmm. He's the reluctant ruler of the underwater kingdom of Atlantis, who's caught between land dwellers that are always polluting the globe and his own people who are ready to invade the surface.
I love the Aquaman character, but I still am not on board with Momoa playing him. Like, at all. If you're going to pick someone from Game of Thrones, I would have had, what's his name? Jamie Lannister play him. Like, he'd be a much better Aquaman. And I just don't get why Jason Momoa gets any part.
Well, this is one thing that I've kind of
What is it about him that people like?
With James Wan directing it, his back catalogue is a lot of horror and dark stuff. Mm-hmm. And judging by the costume design that was revealed, I kind of wonder if this is going to play along as one of these kind of gritty films, especially if he's going to be in a Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, which looks incredibly dark.
Yeah,
that's his introduction, and they're playing along in this universe.
I don't think I want to see a film in Atlantis being gritty.
That's it. I absolutely don't.
Kind of
Aquaman, he's kind of the colourful. He's like the Ariel of the superhero world.
No, but like New 52 Aquaman is brilliant, and he's a badass. He's quite funny.
Yeah.
There's nothing about Jason Momoa that makes me excited about anything. Yeah,
he is quite funny.
Is he?
Yep.
In real life, or okay.
Met him at a party.
Yeah,
it was this weird Conan launch.
Jokes.
It was this weird Conan launch that they did where they invited me to a bar to meet him in London. So I went and met him, and he was not what I was expecting. I'd only ever seen him in Game of Thrones. Yeah. So obviously that's not a good guide.
Massive.
Yeah.
As big as he seems?
Tweeted a picture. Well, maybe we'll put it in the story of me with him, and it was in the story maybe at the time on the podcast story.
Yeah.
And the first comment was, "Why is Chris standing in a ditch?" It looks so ridiculous.
He's massive.
Next to him. He's massive. But he's actually very funny and smart. I quite liked him.
Okay.
I haven't seen him in anything other than Game of Thrones, so I can't really judge him. I didn't see that Conan.
I haven't seen. Yeah, I've only ever seen him in Game of Thrones, I think.
So you're entirely judging him based on that. You seem to have decided that he can't do any of these things.
I just didn't find him engaging to watch or anything like that. And like when I look at images of him, I just think, why is that good? Why is he a good person?
You're like the picture where I look like a door.
Maybe I'll change my mind.
But maybe interestingly, I've met James Wan a few times, and we've talked about what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Horror is not where his heart is. His dream is to be making superhero movies. He told me this like 5 years ago when Insidious 1 came out and we were in New York. Not only that, is the Shadow is the character that he loves the most. His dream is to make a Shadow movie.
Yeah.
So I just feel like I'm like getting a bit chuffed for him because this gets him one step closer to making a movie of the Shadow.
One step closer.
Yeah,
that's essentially like as close as you can get.
It's a stepping stone. It's a stepping stone. That's how I see it. Because I don't know how much your heart can be in a Fast and Furious movie.
Lots of heart.
Lots of
all about heart.
It's about family, actually. I think you're fine.
Familiar.
But, you're going to get paid well. You're going to, it's good for the CV.
Yeah.
I'm quite surprised you're doing Conjuring 2 first. But, we will see.
He can bash those out in his sleep, though, can't he? Really, like Conjurings and Saws and stuff like that.
You feel like he can at this point. He's such a pro.
Yeah.
Although what I didn't realise until covering this story today was that it's the the Enfield experiment.
Okay.
Has it got anything to do with the Enfield haunting? That obviously
Really?
we had a TV show.
I wonder if it is.
Recently. Well, I don't know of an Enfield in America.
Yeah, America's pretty big though, dude.
I suppose so. But to have like a poltergeist as well.
Yeah, that's maybe something to do with the name.
We will see.
Yeah.
So James Wan is doing Aquaman when we do not know.
Excellent.
So Jurassic World, I guess.
Yeah.
Bloomin' Dan's seen it. We haven't. That's annoying.
Yeah, it's annoying.
And
we will have seen it by next week's podcast, though. So maybe we can do a Jurassic World extravaganza.
We've got a lot to talk about next week, though.
Yeah, okay.
There's something else going on that we have to talk about. But Dan also sat down with the film's writer-director, Colin Trevorrow, so let's hear what he had to say about the movie.
Hello, welcome to IGN. I'm Daniel, and I'm joined by Colin Trevorrow, director of Safety Not Guaranteed, and this little movie.
It's a little film we
Jurassic World. So I was really worried about this interview because I've interviewed people before when I haven't quite liked their movie, and I've kind of weaved my way out of it. And I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan. If people listen to the podcast or watch IGN, they know I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan. Like, I was 7 years old when the original movie came out. I watched it on an island, the island of Jersey in the British Channel. And I just it is the formative cinema going experience of my life. It's probably why I'm kind of doing this job, which is really weird to be interviewing about this movie. And, lots of people say it, of my generation, that is their Star Wars, which is hyperbolic because it hasn't had the lasting cultural impact. But there's something really special about Jurassic Park. Now, you saw it a little bit later in life. Can you talk about when you first saw it and what it kind of meant to you, like your first experience of it?
Yeah, and it's interesting. I have had many people tell me that it was their Star Wars, and I think regardless of what the actual resonance is culturally over a long period of time, it's a very personal thing what that movie was for you that made you maybe not decide you had to be a filmmaker, but that you wanted to surround yourself with this new mythology that Steven Spielberg and George Lucas and Robert Zemeckis and all these people who were working during that particular period of time managed to introduce it, that have lasted for so long. And Star Wars was my Star Wars. I'm older than you. I'm 38 and not that much older, but 5 to 7 years can make all the difference when you're talking about which part of the 80s hit you.
And where you were in your life.
Exactly,
I was 7 years old. I was really into dinosaurs. You were probably into girls.
I was into girls. That's exactly right. I was 16. I was very much into women in movies and food. I'm not sure which that. I know Scorsese always said religion, movies, and I can't remember. Maybe food was his third thing, or family.
The Trinity.
They're much the Trinity, much more legitimate. Mine is women, food, and movies. But with all women, like relationships and respecting women, not of course. But I was sort of cynical at the time and kind of thought I knew how it all worked and I had everything figured out, and I went to a theater that was near my house. I grew up in Oakland, California, and we have this theater called the Grand Lake, which is the most beautiful old movie palace. I feel like there's a lot more of those here, but they still show they're theatrical, they show theater, whereas in America we had these really amazing movie palaces that have disappeared and they've either turned into, a lot of them are churches, surprisingly, or malls, and this one still exists, and I get to go see the movie there in a couple of weeks, and I'm so excited. And it was showing at midnight the night before. My friend was the guy who served the popcorn at the theater, and he called me up and he said, we're going to watch this new movie tonight at midnight. And so I snuck out of my house because I was grounded, and that, I don't know if that's a British term. Do you get grounded? You get grounded.
We've taken a lot from your culture. We now have high school proms.
Okay,
we didn't have when I was growing up.
I'm sorry about that. So I was grounded from seeing movies. That was the only thing that you could really do to punish me, because it's what I loved most. And so I snuck out of the house and I did like the cliche of putting the pillows under the blankets so you saw my body there, and I did have a driver's license, so I got in the car and put it in neutral, rolled it down the hill, and I sat in this theater, and it was the first time that I had seen a movie with digital sound, and it was this really cavernous space, and there were only 2 people in the whole theater, and so how when you have a lot of bodies in some place, it warms up the sound, it absorbs a lot of it, and so it was empty, and so the sound was just shaking the entire building, and what it did for me at the time was was something different than what Star Wars or Back to the Future or Raiders of the Lost Ark had done when I was younger. It showed me how a movie can take you from being a cynical 16-year-old or even an adult and turn you back into a child. And so it was actually very informative for what I was trying to do here, and what I think we've done pretty well, which is make something that is very respectful of Jurassic Park, and yet is a new movie and feels like an original movie set in that world, and has a lot of very subtle ways of making you feel the way that you did when you watched the first one without repeating the incidents or bringing back even all of the characters. And that I wanted to find a way to do that in a different way. I feel like, this is a really long answer.
It's a good answer. I'm going to keep quiet.
Fan service is something that can immediately become very pandering very quickly. And I didn't even want to consider it fan service because I am a fan. I'm going to naturally do that. It's part of what the mission is. And so to find a way for people like you who probably went into this, pretty dubious, pretty doubtful that this was going to work on any level, to be able to have an experience that it sounds like you enjoyed in the way that I was hoping you'd enjoy it, and that it also, I feel like it acknowledges that there's no way you're going to feel the same way about this movie that you did about Jurassic Park. It's just not possible.
No, I think it succeeds in the way that, I really liked Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 when I saw them, but I feel like they tried to move out and progress the series, and I don't think they ever really understood or really worked out, because it was really hard to recapture or work out what the magic of the original was, because it's such a well-balanced and tight movie. Because is it the characters per se? I don't think it really is. I think it's more the dynamics between the characters, because they try to bring back Jeff Goldblum's character, and then for the third one, Sam Neill's character. So it doesn't really adhere itself into the characters per se. It's something about the relationships and what's going on. When you started this project, did you go back to the original and not try to reverse engineer it, but try to work out what defines a Jurassic Park film, really? Because I think Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 kind of muddle what that is to an extent.
Well, I think The Lost World is a different movie because Steven won't make the same movie twice. He just is incapable of doing it. And so he wanted to make a different kind of film. And so they made a Lost World movie, or a King Kong movie, however you want to look at it. What I observed as a fundamental equation of what works in a Jurassic Park movie, and why we have an advantage here because we have that equation, is you enter a place that is full of awe and wonder and joy, and then that spirit is slowly dismantled over the course of an hour and a half, 2 hours. And Jurassic Park 3 and The Lost World both had a different equation, which is you're going to a place that's horribly dangerous, you're probably going to die, and sure enough, that's what happens. Yeah. So there's not really a surprise in that for the characters. And I think with this, Steven's idea to have a fully functional park, it made it very easy to let our imaginations run wild from there, because you have that equation. You get to bring children into this park and see it through their eyes, and we get to be them, and the process of making sure that the park felt real and tactile, that you could touch it and live in it, and that the rides reminded us of rides that we go on now, and that you have that sense of waiting in endless lines, and the kids are complaining, and it's hot and it's miserable. All of that stuff.
The park attendant just doing this as a summer job, and he's really bored of it.
Enjoy the ride. Yeah.
Cool. So that's what Colin Trevorrow had to say about Jurassic World. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Let's go negative.
Okay.
What's the bum stuff of the week?
Well, Rory, do you want to kick us off? Because you put this in rum stuff.
I did. Well, because I didn't know what bum and rum meant. It's not very, not very descriptive.
Rum is good, bum is bad.
I think the readers should let us know if this should become a thing or not.
Well, Alex has already decided that it 100% is.
The listeners decide.
Okay. We're talking rum, the drink, right?
I guess so.
Rum is...
Yeah, rum the drink is good to drink. So
I know.
Rum stuff, good stuff.
And bums can be
What's
good.
wrong with bum?
Yeah.
Well, if something's a bit bum...
It doesn't say big bum. Yeah. It doesn't say big rum.
A bit bum.
Oh, right.
Something's a bit bum.
All right, we're getting bogged down here. What don't you like this week, buddy?
I don't like... Well, it was announced that they are going to be having a remake of Big Trouble in Little China, which is one of my personal favorite films.
I love that film,
Believe it or
yeah.
not, Chris, because it was made before in 2000.
Before you were born.
Yeah.
It was actually, yeah.
That's weird to me.
So I was already a little bit iffy about it because, we had different experiences with it. I obviously saw it, and it was already kind of a cult thing by the time I had seen it.
I'm sure, yeah.
And the whole fact that it was a 1985 film kind of played into how ridiculous it was. And even when I started watching it, like the first 20 minutes, I questioned, is it supposed to be funny, or is this an actual serious action film?
It's meant to be funny, isn't it?
It is.
But no, I know what you're saying. The tone is strange.
Yeah.
It's almost tongue-in-cheek, like Kurt Russell's performance. And everyone else is quite over the top, and he's kind of being quite slapstick, almost like he's from a 1950s,
absolutely,
Laurel and Hardy film or something.
It knows that it's a B movie. It's very self-aware in the way that it's kind of scripted and performed. So I was already a little skeptical because I don't know how something of that same style would work in today's world. And then also they announced that The Rock is going to be playing Jack Burton, which is a bit difficult because the whole point of the character of Jack Burton is that he's kind of helpless and useless, and he thinks he's a big tough guy.
Yeah.
The Rock is actually quite a tough person.
Is he?
I think so. What's The Rock?
Yeah, I think I wouldn't mess with him. Yeah. I think if he punched you, you've been punched.
Yeah.
I like
you might not because you're dead.
I like you're calling him The Rock now, because usually you call him Dwayne Johnson, which I always think is a really
Mr. Johnson to
which
his
I really
face.
always think is a really good indication of how young you are. That we still call him The Rock, but you actually know him as Dwayne Johnson.
I knew him as a wrestler before I knew him as an actor. I'm not that young.
Yeah.
How would you feel though? Because I feel like his personality is a bit similar to Kurt Russell's. He can do a similar. He's not as good, but he can do a similar thing. That's kind of. It's fun to watch him. He's kind of winking at the audience while he's doing stuff.
Yeah.
So how would you feel if they put him in like they did with Chris Evans, Captain America, in like a smaller body for the film? Would that appease him?
Shrink him down and give him Kurt Russell's hair.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He used to have bad hair. I know he used to have an afro, didn't he?
He used to have that horrible hair. Yeah. There's that amazing photo of him wearing a turtleneck and a chain.
Oh my god,
thing.
really?
Yeah.
I gotta find that.
Would that make you feel better?
Yes, absolutely.
How do you feel about Big Trouble in Little China?
Yeah, I mean, I think I really love the original. I used to watch it all the time when I was a kid.
Yeah, me too.
But then I also really love The Rock, and I think I even like The Rock in like Journey 2, which I thought he was really good in there.
Everyone loves The Rock.
Like
he's just
but
great.
at the same time, like, why do you need to do this? But in fairness, at least it sounds like they're doing something a little bit different if they're casting The Rock, maybe. But
see, I like the film because I grew up with it. I equally don't think it's a very good film.
Yeah.
And I always think if you're going to remake a movie, either take a bad one and make it better, which I think there's room for improvement here. But equally, for me, I'd much rather see a sequel with Kurt Russell in.
Oh my god!
That would be incredible. I think that would be really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Whereas this, why not? I don't know why they need to remake it or make a spin-off.
Yeah.
Make The Rock is Jack Burton's nephew or something, and he's going back to China. You could do that though. Like I think a direct remake with him being Jack Burton.
Yeah.
I don't think works for anyone.
I think what it is similar to the way that when really rubbish video game movies get made, the way that they get made is there's a script for a film and they've got someone attached to it, maybe they haven't, but there's a script for a film that's taken place somewhere, because it's completely original. They're just thinking, okay, this is going to be a really hard sell. Let's buy a license or something already, attach that to it. So a famous one is the House of the Dead film. So the House of the Dead, the video game, all takes place within a house, but the House of the Dead movie takes place on a tropical island, because obviously that script existed and they've just gone, right, what's for sale? Oh, House of the Dead, it's a video game. All right, chuck them together. Yeah. And that's what happens with video games movies. So I think maybe it's something with this. There was an original script for something and they've gone, right, this is going to be a hard sell. What can we stick it on the end of? Oh, China. Bam.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's weird to me because people forget this was a massissive flop at the time.
Really?
This pretty much destroyed John Carpenter's career.
Right.
It was a very unhappy shoot. I don't think he was happy with the way the film came out. He had an idea for a sequel that he never got to do because it was a disaster. It found an audience on video because it was a great film for teenagers to watch.
Right.
But
he said it is largely down to marketing, that the companies in charge just did not know how to sell it.
Sure. Right.
Because I guess at the time, when it was being released, maybe the message was a bit unclear. Even now we're kind of discussing what
genre.
It's
It's a bunch of different genres. So it's funny. I guess it is a really good title for a film.
Yeah.
And maybe that's it. Like, I always got annoyed with Battleship, you know?
Yeah.
Why were they so desperate to make a spin-off of the Battleship game?
Yeah.
You could give that film any title, or you don't need...
When are we going to see Chess, the movie? That'd be quite
you
interesting.
That might happen.
Pawns and knights.
Monopoly's been developed.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Was that Wolf of Wall Street? That was...
Ridley Scott was developing Monopoly.
Oh my god.
That's insane.
Gav, is there any film news that's made you feel a bit on edge?
Yeah, so this happened last week, but we didn't talk about it. Is the Cary Fukunaga, the True Detective guy, is not doing the It remake anymore. Apparently he had a certain vision for the movie, which is going to be in 2 parts, which I thought was an odd sell anyway.
It's a bad start
but
already, isn't it?
he wanted a certain amount of money for it, and apparently there wasn't that amount of money for it, so he's just walked away from it, which is really upsetting, because I think, like, True Detective, the first series, is so weird and it's so odd, and it's got such an amazing sort of atmosphere that, like, it really does feel like it, like, sticks to you when you're watching it. And I think he could have been really good at doing it.
Could have worked nice, yeah.
And he's been developing it for more than a year.
A long time.
That's a lot of work to put into something.
Yeah. And
it's horrible when these things happen, these kind of creative differences, when you feel like it was a good fit.
Yeah,
as
that's
a
the
fan.
thing. Yeah,
like Edgar Wright with Ant-Man.
Yeah,
exactly. Exactly the same.
And I'm a big It fan, like, of the book, and I really like the sort of like the TV movie as well. But it just that's what you mean. It just felt right, the two of them together.
God, who had they cast as Pennywise?
Oh, what's his name? That British dude from
It's Will
Son of Rambo.
something.
Oh, yeah, Will.
Yeah, I can't remember his surname though. Yeah.
He's got a good face though.
He's got a really good Pennywise style face. Yeah,
gives me chills.
Poulter.
That's
Yes.
it. Yeah. Nice. I'm glad you did. I thought we lost you for the rest of the podcast. Then
I would have been done.
In a trance.
but that's I mean, they still cast him presumably.
It's interesting casting.
Yeah.
I mean, tough, big, round shoes
Huge,
to fill.
yeah.
I mean, they're massive. He's a clown. One of the great maybe screen villain performances. I don't think the TV movie is particularly good. I just think he is particularly good, and it kind of overshadows the whole thing, and it makes you maybe think of it more fondly than actually the rest of it's kind of a bit duff.
I don't think I think of it as fondly. I just think of it. I just remember, like, being absolutely terrified of it, and just, like, watching it, but not wanting to watch it at the same time.
Yeah. Are you guys afraid of clowns?
Not really.
Sense? I mean, I'm afraid of that clown.
Yeah, exactly. I'm afraid of scary clowns.
Yeah, of course.
I think that's kind of the thing.
I think I'm just afraid of scary things in general. So if it happens to be a scary clown, then I'd probably be afraid of it.
Yeah, I'm the same. I don't really.
I quite like the Poulter thing. If you look at images of him, he has got that giant sort of mouth, and I think, I could still. I mean, he's still on board, I guess. Yeah, I guess maybe he's not walking away. But
we'll see. So, any ideas who you'd like to see replace Fukunaga?
It's a good question, but I don't know really. Like a good horror director?
I think a good suggestion would be the girl who did the Babadook.
That's a really good one, yeah.
Unfortunately, I feel like she's not a horror person, and I think she said she doesn't want to do more horror films. Like, that was a one-off, and she saw it more as an indie drama.
Yeah.
But the tone she nailed in that would work for it, wouldn't it?
Perfect.
Yeah, definitely.
Really freaky.
Also, like, the way that the kids sort of interact and stuff in It Follows, that would be quite a good one as well.
It Follows. There's been a few this year. Spring is another one where, like, I feel like all these guys coming through, and girls, could do... could make interesting horror films.
Definitely,
if they choose to stay in that genre. So that's bad news. I don't know if my news is bad or good, because it's kind of funny, and I'm really happy about all this. But obviously, we talked about it last week. I'm a football dude. And the stuff with FIFA has made me so happy. All the arrests, corruption, fraud, racketeering, bribery, money laundering. It's just a beautiful story that's going to run, and we're going to see horrible fat cats go to prison.
Also, I think the stuff that we're going to find out is going to be really dark. Like, it's going to be like U-Tree style dark, where things are going to start unraveling, and the amount of things that we're going to find out is going to be really nasty.
Yeah, because I said to someone the other day, Pete Donaldson, our colleague from Football Ramble, who's guest on here, I was saying, it's fun because at least no one's died. And he's like, well, how many people have died in Qatar? It's like up to 1,000 now building the stadium.
Depressing.
And that's just going to go on. I wonder if anyone's been murdered.
Definitely. Of course they have.
Think so?
Yeah.
And it's very much like The Wire. Like, it was a wiretap that got it, and they say follow the money. So anyway, that's not what I'm here to talk about.
That'll be a really good TV show. Yeah. David Simon should get on that.
I'm here to talk about United Passions. It's already been done, Gav. A movie called United Passions was made a year ago. And it screened in Cannes last year, and I remember it vaguely, but I didn't really think much. I thought it just sounded ridiculous. I thought, whatever, this is dumb. This week I've rethought it.
Yeah.
I sent off to France to buy a copy of it, where it went straight to DVD.
Yeah.
It stars Gerard Depardieu as Jules Rimet, who gave his name to the original World Cup trophy. It stars Sam Neill as Wow Havelange, who's probably the most, probably the FIFA man that's taken the most bribes before Blatter.
Okay.
And then Tim Roth as Sepp Blatter.
Yeah.
That's weird in itself. Three great actors.
It is weird, but I've watched just the trailer, and Tim Roth, he seems like he's sort of nailed it.
He does, although part of me feels like he's just, I don't know if he's being arrogant or just acting like he just doesn't want to be there.
Right.
Because the film is about FIFA. It tells the history of FIFA. And it's been funded by FIFA.
Is it good?
It cost £20 million, this film. FIFA paid £17 million of it.
Jesus
And I've
Christ.
watched it.
That's so good.
I'll tell you what, it's got a good energy about it. Aside from that, it's so bad, it's good. It's come all the way round.
Yeah. You give me $20 million, I'm going to have a good energy.
It's a piece of propaganda, no doubt. It's a fairy tale.
Yeah.
But it has some I was laughing a lot.
Like,
I don't think
on purpose or
no.
Okay, right, yeah.
No, I mean I'm doing a feature on it, so I've been pulling out all my favourite bits. So the English. Now, FIFA and England do not get along with each other.
No, not
We've been the ones that have been on their case from the beginning.
Yeah.
The English don't come out of this very well.
Okay.
Over and over again, we pop up saying dumb things. Kicking off with an English aristocrat telling Jules Rimet's daughter, "Young lady, the natives of Africa are stupid, undisciplined. It's just in their nature. How could they possibly be expected to appreciate the subtleties of a game invented by whites?"
Oh my God.
That's not the only time the English are racist in the film. This guy with the monocle says, what would foreigners understand about our beautiful game?
That's a cartoon English one, isn't it?
And he's got the moustache that's going to be twirled in a minute.
Jesus.
So the Brits aren't very good in it.
Yeah.
Sepp's introduction, he's introduced, Havelange says, "This is Sepp Blatter, he's good at finding money." Nice. Havelange has a speech which blew my mind, where his kids are playing Subbuteo, and he stands up and says, "Muhammad Ali, Jesse Owens, not to mention Pele. These people have done more for the black cause than any politician. The World Cups we organise do more for world peace than any UN resolution." And then he compares himself to God.
Wow,
excellent.
That's just the next step, of course.
Really good stuff. Sepp Blatter says that FIFA should be concentrating on women's teams during the film.
Okay.
That's Sepp Blatter, who said, "In real life, let's get women to play different and more feminine garb than the men in tighter shorts, for example." Aww. So the proto-feminist there.
Yeah.
That's good.
And it ends. Oh yeah, and he does a speech to FIFA. Probably my favourite scene in the film, where he lays down the law.
Okay.
He says, "From now on, we will be exemplary in all respects.
Right.
The slightest breach of ethics will be severely punished. We will play by my rules now." And that's like his big moment in the movie.
Unbelievable.
Oh my
and then
God.
it ends with him awarding it's like a slow motion scene of him walking in the room, and then him awarding South Africa the World Cup finals in 2010, which was his dream. His big thing was wanting to get it to South Africa. The big celebratory triumph at the end, and of course today it's just come out in the news that was all because of a massive bribe to all the FIFA. Literally today as we're recording this in the news.
Oh my God.
So it's an incredible film. Unfortunately, you won't get to see it unless you download it illegally or buy it from France, but I'll have a feature on the site going through it. So that's my good and bad this week.
Well, that sounds really good. So
bad it's good.
Shall we do some feedback then? What have we got?
So we have no feedback this week.
Really?
No, I haven't got any.
I don't have any.
I didn't know I was organising feedback. I actually didn't know I was hosting it this week.
Oh shit, okay.
Let's talk about competition winners instead then.
I thought you were joking. Alright, let's talk about competition winners. So we've got, last week we put out a Destiny competition winner, which we came up with the competition mechanic at the second that Alex was saying it on the podcast. So we got some winners then. The Ghost Edition winner is Kyle Chester Marsden. The limited edition winners on Xbox One are Rick Dardwell and Tom Davis, and the PS4 winners are Paul Burke and Nadine Mason Bertrand. Well done to you guys. Those prizes will be on their way. And
good at reading names.
Have we got an event happening this?
We have the last bit of business today. So there's a opportunity for you lot to get hands-on with Assassin's Creed Syndicate. So IGN and Ubisoft have teamed up to do this Assassin's Creed Syndicate The Tour between June 16th and the 18th. And it's an event in London. You'll need a Uplay account to get tickets, but if you head on over to www.assassinscreed.com/the tour, you can get on board there and play the game, because we'll be playing at E3, but I'm guessing you won't be at E3.
I won't.
No. Well, I'm not looking at you. I was looking at them down the microphone.
Oh, down the microphone.
Yeah.
You're looking at my eyes.
Oh, yeah, the camera, yeah.
The camera, yeah.
Because we're filming this, so...
You'll be in E3.
I will be at E3, yeah. So, but I've still got one more podcast before we go to E3. So, and then we'll come back and tell you everything amazing that happened there.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, should be good. Awesome.
So how can people get in touch with us should we choose to do feedback next week?
IGN...
_UK feedback at IGN.com. I got it.
Well, we'll have a full sack next week then.
Yeah, if we remember to do it.
You know what, the Duck Hunt meetup in London, the pub quiz?
Oh, yeah.
One of the questions on the quiz was, what's the IGN UK feedback address? And they called me out from the crowd. And they were like, Rory, what is it? And I got it wrong.
Did you?
No. Everyone blasted me.
Oh, you
so
dick.
hard. I said IGN... _feedback at I didn't do the UK.
Yeah, gotta remember the UK,
Absolutely.
dude.
Yeah.
Gotta remember the UK.
I feel like
I
now
had to
we
run out
confuse
in
people
shame.
that are making a note of it now by saying it in different ways.
IGN _UK feedback at IGN.com.
It's that easy.
It just rolls off the tongue. It's easy. Yeah.
Well, as ever, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, and tune in next week for more of this chatter bollocks.
Yep.
You should listen to the GamesIndustry.biz microcast.
More people are playing games than ever before. They've never been more popular, and the business behind it is facing some real challenges and changes.
There's been tens of thousands of layoffs, hundreds of studio closures as major companies face rising costs and falling sales.
There's uncertainty around the future of game consoles.
There's legal and government intervention into how games are even being paid for.
The role of AI is changing how games are being made.
There's the impact of games like Fortnite and Roblox dominating everyone's time.
And then there's the desperate wait for Switch 2 and GTA 6, and that's just 2024.
Two leading business journalists with a combined 35 years of experience offer you a weekly guide through all of this and more.
I'm Christopher Dring, head of GamesIndustry.biz.
I'm James Batchelor, editor-in-chief of GamesIndustry.biz, and you can join us every Monday for the GamesIndustry.biz microcast.
The most important stories,
expert guests,
exclusive market data,
and all in less than 30 minutes.
Usually.
The GamesIndustry.biz microcast every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone, so we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural then and now.